Hip-hop was born in 1973 after the death of Sam Cooke, Malcolm X, Martin Luther King, and Fred Hampton, in that order: 1964, 65, 68, 69. After Motown had 110 top 10 hits from 1961 to 1971. 10 years, 110 top 10 Billboard hits. I saw a documentary on funk in the 70s. An artist said there isn't one sad funk song, and this is in the 70s. The Vietnam War was from 1955 to 1975. That's 20 years. Civil rights movement was from 1942 to 1968. That's 26 years. Mass incarceration started in the 1970s. 357,000 people were in the prison population, and Nixon talked about law and order, dealing with Black Power movement, the Black Panther movement, anti-war, and movements for women and gay liberation. Nixon says federal spending for law enforcement will double. We must wage total war against public enemy number one in the U.S., the problem with dangerous drugs. Drugs were seen as a crime issue, not a health issue. Hundreds of thousands of people were arrested for marijuana. 513,000 people in the prison population in the 1980s. The oil embargo, 1973 and in 1979, is the beginning of hip-hop. And in the beginning, hip-hop didn't make a lot of money. Hip-hop didn't have a name. People said it would be a fad. People said it wouldn't last long. And then Ronald Reagan. And hip-hop was only 7 years old. Imagine being 7 and having to deal with everything that Ronald Reagan brings, which is the war on drugs, crack, AIDS epidemic, urban renewal, mandatory sentencing penalties for crack. 1 ounce of crack cocaine is the same as 100 ounces of coke. Ronald Reagan said our spending for drug law enforcement will have more than tripled from its 1981 levels. 759,000 people were in the prison population in 1985. The youth was labeled super predators. By 1990, 1,179,000 people were in the prison population. That's before mandatory minimums and 3 strikes. And I was watching this movie on Prime called Zeitgeist, and it said the government gets what it pays for. So whatever the government pays for is what the government gets. And as you can see, the Vietnam War was 20 years, and Nixon said the federal spending for law enforcement will double, so money going there. And Ronald Reagan said the drug law enforcement will triple, so there's money going there. Also, a war on drugs. So there goes another war. And, Pac said instead of war on poverty, they got a war on drugs so the police could bother me. I remember the 90s. I was 7 in 1996. Hip-hop was 23, and East Coast and West Coast was divided, and the South was about to take over because of that divide. 50 years later, hip-hop has had its biggest festival, and I haven't heard anybody talk about it. Separation and delusion, everything is connected. I saw Mick Jenkins live in 2017 at Rolling Loud 3 in Miami. XXX, Mac Miller, Gucci, and more were there. One of my favorite sets was Mick Jenkins. I didn't know Mick Jenkins before Magnificent Coloring Day, a one-day festival in Chicago that Chance the Rapper did in White Sox Stadium in 2016. While leaving the event in 2016, I got a compliment from somebody about my dance moves and my energy. I said, I'm sure you was representing up here too. He was like, oh my gosh, he's humble too. They were shocked that I gave them a compliment and asked me, have I heard the healing component? I said, no. They said, do you know who Mick Jenkins is? I said, no. They was like, oh my gosh, listen to Mick Jenkins, the healing component, and the Waters. Leaving Chicago, we had a 5 to 6 hour drive. We started listening to the healing component. After 6 songs, and we had to stop. It was extremely deep, and the words were big. So we said we will come back to it. That was in September 2016, right before I lost my job. But fast forward to May 5th, through the 7th, 2017, Bayfront Park, Miami, Florida. I was there. When Mick Jenkins hit the stage, I was ready and up close. When people talk about love, you only really think of the pretty parts of love. People don't think about things like loving themselves and what that take, and that you have to know yourself to love yourself, and how difficult of a battle that might be. I don't even think everybody agrees on what love is or what love looks like, whether it be in the streets or personally. And that's just a conversation that it needs to be had. You know what I'm saying? And that's what I kind of want to do, is start a conversation. I think it's setting myself up to be able to have a lot to talk about and different angles to come from, musically and lyrically, from a point of storytelling. And I think it's just something we need a lot more of anyway, whether it be just a conversation or actual acts of love. The third song on the album, The Healing Component, is Daniel Bloom. See, what the world needs is love. See, that's what we don't have enough of. Love. Say it with me. Now, we all done had them nights at 2 a.m, the devil's knocking at your door, and you call somebody on the phone, and you beg, and you plead with them, and you say, pray for me. Pray for me. And that song, Mick Jenkins says, these youngins is aiming at your ball cap for some coin. Pray for me. Love is stronger than pride, but also love is a muscle you got to build from inside. Kicked and pushed until I beat down barriers. Kicked and pushed until I beat down. And Mick Jenkins is an artist from Chicago, and Lupe Fiasco is also from Chicago. And they had a song called Kick Push. And Mick Jenkins spent it into his own way, which is hip hop. They say it ain't no love, but I seen it. I seen it. And I remember when that part came on and Rolling Loud, the music cut off and thousands of people were there, and I was the only one in my area, clear as day, that said, I seen it, I seen it. Mick Jenkins looked down at me and was like, it come few and far between, pray for me. Just holler at me, I can pray for you. Trying to make a play for you. Won't you show me love? They say it ain't no love here, but I do see blood, tears, and sweat. That's the same Rolling Loud Kendrick Lamar dropped, Damn. Ain't nobody praying for me. That's how I feel. Kendrick talks about talking to God all the time, but most people only talk to God when they need a favor. Probably scared to pick up the phone. Yeah, Young Thug and Travis Scott were there too. Living in fear. Some people fear God. Others love God. They tried to bury us, but forgot that we are seeds. Infinite Water. Bloom where you are planted. And Bloom is in the title of the song that me and Infinite Waters had the connection. Daniel Bloom. The third song on the album. Everybody is an artist. Some people forgot where they put their paintbrush. Again, another Infinite Waters. And this dude be cooking. He's a psychologist that I found on YouTube, and they're a deep diver, so please go check out their channel. An artist does it for the art. A consumer does it for the numbers. I can see the new people around me, they just want to be famous. They don't love the art. Probably why nobody talked about Rolling Loud Orlando, a hip-hop festival in May 2026. Instead, people were talking about Nashville in Canada, not hip-hop's biggest festival that was on Amazon Prime and YouTube. And I'll finish with another quote from Infinite Waters, Feel Alive 2, Unlock Your Infinite Powers, Ralph Smart. I was reading this to my son today, and I just felt like I had to share this. It says, you see the people we surround ourselves with, if they're meant to be in your life, they will always take you to the next level. They won't just bring you drama every day. Separation is an illusion. Everything is connected. High power.